Some decisions don't ruin your life loudly. They don't explode. They don't announce themselves. They just sit there, quiet, permanent. And later, when the anger has faded, when the noise is gone, you realize something uncomfortable. You weren't wrong because you were careless. You were wrong because you were angry. Most regrets don't come from what we didn't do. They come from what we did, while our emotions were louder than our judgment. And the problem with anger is not that it shows up. The problem is that it makes urgency feel like clarity. Anger is not evil. It's human. It shows up when something feels unfair, when a line feels crossed, when respect feels missing. But anger compresses time. It tells you everything must be decided now. It whispers, if you don't act immediately, you lose your power. And that is how people make decisions. They spend years paying for. I once had a friend. His name was Chris. Chris wasn't reckless. He wasn't impulsive by nature. He wasn't someone who enjoyed chaos. If anything, he was measured, thoughtful, the kind of person people trusted with responsibility. Which is why what happened surprised everyone, including him. It started with something small, small enough to dismiss, small enough to ignore. A comment at work, sharp, public, unnecessary. Chris didn't respond immediately. He smiled. He nodded. But inside, something shifted. That night, he replayed it. Again, and again, and again. By the time he got home, he wasn't thinking about the comment anymore. He was thinking about what it meant. Anger has a way of doing that. It doesn't stay with the moment. It grows teeth. It starts telling stories. This is disrespect. This is a pattern. This will keep happening if I let it. By midnight, Chris wasn't angry about a comment. He was angry about years of imagined future mistreatment. And anger loves shortcuts. So he wrote the message. It wasn't abusive. It wasn't careless. But it was final. It drew lines. It closed doors. It said things that can't be unsaid. He sent it, and for about 30 seconds, he felt relief. That's the dangerous part. Anger always pays you first. The next morning, the relief was gone. In its place was something quieter. Doubt, not about whether he had the right to feel upset, but about whether the decision fit the size of the problem. He read the message again, slower this time, without adrenaline. And it felt heavy. At work, the atmosphere had changed. Not dramatically, just enough. Conversations shorter, eyes more careful. No one confronted him. No one needed to. The bridge wasn't burned loudly. It was burned politely, and polite damage is still damage. That night, Chris told himself the story people tell when they want peace. I had to stand up for myself. If I didn't act, I'd regret it. Those sentences sound convincing, especially when spoken softly. But the next day, when calm returned fully, a different question appeared. Not, was I justified, but was this accurate? Anger doesn't make you dishonest. It makes you selective. It highlights certain facts and erases others. When Chris replayed the moment again, this time without heat, the comment still wasn't right, but it also wasn't worth the cost. That's when the weight landed. He hadn't lost his temper. He hadn't embarrassed himself. He had done something more subtle. He had made a permanent decision in a temporary state, and the price wasn't immediate. It showed up later, in stalled opportunities, in conversations that never restarted, in explanations he could never fully give. This wasn't the first time either. Years earlier, Chris had walked away from a friendship the same way. One argument, one sharp moment, one decision made while angry. At the time, it felt clean, decisive. Later, it felt empty. Not because the friendship was perfect, but because it might have been fixable. Anger has one job: to alert you not to command you, but most people confuse volume with authority. Chris had mistaken intensity for truth. Something changed after that. Not overnight, not dramatically. But Chris started doing one small thing differently. He stopped deciding today. Whenever anger showed up, he wrote instead of acted. He asked questions instead of closing doors. Questions like, what exactly happened? What am I assuming? If I wait 24 hours, will this still matter? If I decide tomorrow, what do I lose? Most of the time, the answer surprised him. He didn't lose power by waiting. He gained accuracy. He learned something else too. Anger fades faster than consequences. Always. Here's the lesson Chris learned the hard way. Anger is not a signal to act, it's a signal to pause. If a decision is truly right, it will still be right tomorrow. Permanent decisions do not need temporary emotions. Waiting is not avoidance, it's discipline. Before you cut someone off, before you quit, before you send the message you can't delete, ask one simple question. Would I make this decision if I were calm? If the answer is no, wait. Anger wants speed. Wisdom wants space. Most people regret acting too fast. Almost no one regrets waiting. You don't lose strength by pausing. You lose strength by reacting blindly. The most powerful move is not proving how quickly you can respond. It's knowing when not to. And that is how you protect your future. From a moment that was never meant to decide it. Let the ideas compound.